Wendy's new Saucy Nugs come in 7 saucy flavors. Yep, you can literally hear your taste buds going. Taste bud sounds may vary. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location.
At Ashley, you'll find colorful furniture that brings your home to life. Ashley makes it easier than ever to express your personal style with an array of looks in fun trending hues to choose from earth tones to vibrant colors to calming blues and greens. Ashley has pieces for every room in the house in the season's most sought-after shades. A more colorful life starts at Ashley. Shop in store, online today. Ashley, for the love of home.
Welcome into a game week edition of the JMU Sports News Podcast. JMU Football, Jack, they are hosting. No, they're not hosting. Sorry, they're on the road. But it feels like
Wow.
they could be hosting the Charlotte 49ers because it's going to be a home game on the road. Anyway, we're back. It's game week. I'm excited.
We are in mid-season form, already messing up who is the home and away team. Week 1, acting like it's week 7. I mean, this is just great content.
Welcome in, folks.
You've had a long day though. You did an interview at 8 without me and diving right now into the podcast. So I'll give you a break on that because you've been grinding away with content.
Wasn't much of a save given the way you described it, where I had an interview a few minutes ago and then came right into this, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got you. That's what I'm here for. That's why they pay me the big bucks to co-host this podcast with you.
That's right. Making a lot of money on this.
So much money. We started a new podcast, To the House, with JMU Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce. First episode dropped Monday night. It was in all your podcast channels on Monday night, but you probably listen to it Tuesday morning. You can watch the full episode on YouTube. Just go to the JMU Sports News YouTube channel, and it is pinned right to the top of that one, and it is the first video you're going to see. And we've kind of changed the JMU Sports News podcast feed into the JMU Sports News network kind of thing. So much like The Ringer, if you're familiar with how The Ringer does their podcast, under the NFL feed, they have different shows. So there will be podcast art, and of course the name we'll put in the name in the description that you'll know whether you're listening to a JMU Sports News podcast or our brand new podcast, To the House, with JMU Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce. So if you're subscribed, do not worry. It's going to be in your podcast feed every time a new episode drops every Monday. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button and you'll get our podcast and Delvin's podcast in your feeds every week.
Subscribe on YouTube. Like us on YouTube. We love that. We're basically influencers in that way.
Some people have called us influencers.
That's true.
Some people have said we've influenced some things. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000. Thought that was $300,000. This must be a different thing, or they lowered it. I shouldn't bad talk advertisers. $200,000 mega. They don't check us. Make a contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. Yeah, the game starts here. The podcast is starting here. Bennett, do you hear that noise?
Ooh.
All right. For this episode, it's the hot take purge. For the next however long this podcast goes, just under an hour, anything that is said does not count. We cannot be held accountable for the takes that are about to drop over the next 40 minutes. It's the purge. This is when we get all of our feelings out. We just spew things, so it's not weighing us down anymore. Are you ready for it?
I am ready for this.
Hit me with your first take.
Okay. My first take. I have a good number of hot takes. I would like to start with one that I don't have written down here.
Okay.
But I think JMU cruises here in week 1. covers the spread with ease against Charlotte. Biff Poggi going in his opening press conference on Tuesday, or his game week opening press conference, starts it with a weird, somber opening statement that 8 or 9 starters are banged up and some of them could be out for as long as a month. That was weird. He said he gave himself an F- for how he's handled camp, and they were overzealous with practicing. I've never seen anything like that. I thought that was wild. We've talked a lot about Charlotte and lead up to this game, but this feels like one where the vibes are very different. JMU is not tempering any expectations. Biff Poggi, it seems like for the last month, he's talking about injuries. He's talking about how fans need to be patient. He's talking about how he hopes the students are there. Every time they ask him something about his team, the number one thing he says is that his team is going to play hard, which feels like the bare minimum for a college football team of guys on scholarship, that they're going to play hard. Are they going to play well? He can't guarantee that, he keeps saying. So I don't know. I feel like this could be a runaway win in week one. Again, we've talked about the matchup a lot, but if Charlotte's down some of their best players, and they're already probably not great, it seems like a tough scene for the 49ers.
I'll also drop my opinion in on this. People are saying, is this gamesmanship? Do you actually think 8 or 9 players aren't going to play and they're injured? One, I don't think I've ever seen a coach lie about having that many players injured before for the point of gamesmanship.
What's the game?
I guess try to get JMU to take it less seriously. Maybe the furthest I've seen a coach do it is probably around the Kurt Signetti, Todd Centeio stuff, where it's he may go,
Sure.
he's injured, but we don't know. But they clearly knew he wasn't going for the what was it? What game? Marshall. I guess Louisville game and everything. But with that was probably the closest I've seen to a coach just straight out kind of lying about.
Wouldn't Biff say the names if he really wanted to game them, where it's or mention a couple, be like, oh man, this star defensive end's banged up, we don't know if he'll go. Wouldn't you do that to
Yeah, I also yes, I agree with that point too. But also Biff, I'm not shocked that a Biff Poggi led team has this many injuries due to poor planning on the coach's part. This doesn't shock me.
Last year, they're one of the most penalized teams in the country. They seem just kind of disorganized in general.
Yeah. I like it. I like that first one. I'm kind of coming to your team. I think now the fans are already beaten down before the first snap is even taken. Did you see their Twitter? They're just it's over. It's pain. This sucks. And it's damn.
I just don't think it would also be just very strange if it's gamesmanship. I can't see it.
Donnie said, my BS meter's off the charts. 8 to 9 starters with injuries that were never reported and all expected back after non-con. Possibly some suspensions. Maybe, but I feel like he would have said it.
I would push back. I don't know that I think the way he worded it was not that clear. I don't think he meant 8 to 9 guys who all have a 3-week injury.
Yeah.
I think he meant 8 to 9 guys are banged up. In theory, some of those guys could actually play Saturday, but maybe not be 100%. And then he was saying they won't be 100% until conference play, basically. So my guess is some of the guys are actually banged up. Maybe there's some suspension stuff, but saying that it's a fake injury thing, I think if they were suspended, he wouldn't have said anything. They would have gone into week one, then somebody would have asked him, and he could have potentially said something. Would have been my guess.
Yeah, I don't think this is BS. I don't think Biff Poggi has a buttoned up enough program to pull off this type of BS. This types of it just, there's way too many things that would have to go right. They have 8 to 9 guys injured. We'll see how many of those actually do not play. Daniel Merriman said, I imagine only 2 to 3 guys are fully out. Yeah, probably. Maybe 8 guys are fully out. We really don't know. So we posted on Twitter a Google form. You could put your hot takes. We got 19 responses.
Good Lord.
So as we go through ours, I'll kind of throw a couple in there as well. So these are the first 3 from listeners we got. George Pettaway returns 5+ kickoffs for touchdowns. Jacob Dobbs wins Sunbelt Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Dylan Williams is the best receiver on the team.
There are varying degrees of hot. I've looked at the responses. Varying degrees of hot.
Some are wow, scolding, and others are okay, it's a hot.
5+ kickoffs for touchdowns is up there in terms of, that's probably the hottest one I've seen.
Yeah. There's one about schisms.
That one, okay, that one's probably the hottest, you're right.
Okay, so my first hot take, no receiver will have 600 or more receiving yards.
Okay, that sounds bad. Is it a spread the wealth thing?
I put underneath it, so many dudes are reportedly getting work that, like, I think the spread the wealth. I do not think they're going to have a Reggie Brown, Elijah Surratt year where there's two guys getting 1,000 yards. I think they're just going to spread it out so much between, we'll see with Taylor Thompson and Logan Kyle because they're not on the two deep and no one asked about that. But in theory, Taylor Thompson, Logan Kyle, you got Adei coming out of the backfield, Petaway out of the backfield, and then you got Tajee Hudson, Dollison, Cam Ross, Dylan Williams, Maxwell Moss, who also didn't appear on the 2D but was getting a lot of hype throughout camp. Josh Pfeiffer, a guy who was getting a lot of hype. There's just so many guys that I do not think that there's going to be one that completely separates from the pack. And I think they're going to be so good at running the football that there just will be less opportunities to get receiving yards.
When's the last time they didn't have a 600-yard receiver?
I know. This is why it's a hot take purge.
Okay. That's a scorcher. All right. I had one that was in the similar vein, but less, maybe a little less hot. But I said that no JMU player would go over 1,000 rushing yards, but they would lead the Sun Belt in rushing yards per game.
Okay.
I could see like Io getting like 9 something. Petaway has another really good year where he's 100 something. Alonzo Barnett. Okay, maybe he's in the hundreds. We'll see how that goes. And well, they got Mallory, they got Purdy, they got Wayne Knight. They just have a lot of guys that I think could get carries, even like jet sweep stuff with Dollison and Amir Knight. So I could see them spreading the wealth. Receiver, this might be a theme today with the depth, but I could see him spreading it receiver and running back and having sort of very split stats that way.
I like it. Back to the listener hot takes. Dylan Morris, Io Adei, Tajee Hudson, Cole Potts, Tanner Morris, Chauncey Logan, Jacob Dobbs, Eric O'Neill, Chris Fitzgerald, Ryan Hansen, all make first or second team Sun Belt.
If they're like a playoff team, that could probably happen, right? Because they're starters. 10 guys.
Chesney leaves for Boston College after 1 year, but that's not the hottest take about this take. Mike Houston comes home.
That's a really, really hot take for many reasons, especially with Boston College. Adding, isn't it Bill O'Brien's first
Bill
year?
O'Brien and Mike Houston, like
Mike Houston's on the hot seat.
JMU will, and this is the third one. JMU will beat Charlotte by more points than Indiana will.
That's a fun one. I like that take.
I like that one a lot. All right, my next one kind of goes hand in hand with my previous one. The passing game is going to be below Sun Belt average this season, but the rushing game will be very much above league average. So a year ago, JMU, are you ready for my EPA stats?
Yeah, sure.
JMU was second in the Sun Belt in EPA per dropback at 0.364 expected points added per dropback. Not only was that second in the conference, that was 15th best in the entire nation. Rushing wise, though, JMU was second to last, ranking 111th in the nation, averaging negative 0.135 expected points added per rush. I think that's going to completely flip-flop. JMU is going to be an above, I think really flip-flop. I think their passing game will struggle, and I think their rushing game will be the reason this team wins a lot of games.
Interesting. I like that. I like that take. Along a similar idea, I think that the strength of the offensive line, this one's not crazy hot, is going to end up becoming the left side rather than the right side. So the right side, and we're sort of right, Tanner Morris at center is just in the middle, so he's not going to count for either side in my argument.
Poor Tanner.
But you've got Cole Potts at right guard, all-conference player, stud. Patrick McMurtry at right tackle, Holy Cross transfer, very good. Not a slight on either of those guys. I just think the left side is really, really good. Carter Sweezy, a redshirt sophomore that has a ton of ability at left guard. And then Tyshawn Wyatt's hurt right now, or probably hurt right now, right? He's not listed on the 2 deep. Bob Chesney keeps saying there's one guy coming back from a surgery who's maybe not ready to go yet. Presumably it's Tyshawn Wyatt. But they've got Jesse Rammel at left tackle and then Luke Popma, Georgetown transfer there. A couple of FCS transfers that are really good. When Wyatt comes back into the mix, That's a deep left tackle spot. They've also got Josh Toner as the backup left guard. I think that left side could be sneaky strong. And I think Sweezy's due for a massive season as a starter.
Come to the JMU Sports News podcast for hot take purges about offensive line.
Yeah, left side, man. It's about to be good.
The hot take that Bennett's been dying to get off his chest. I've just been thinking about it. The left side of this line. And if your podcast is listening to this, he is the biggest grin on his face as he's explaining how the left side of the line is going to be better than the right side.
I think Sweezy's got Power 5 potential. And I know I don't like to think that way with like the portal and stuff, but redshirt sophomore, he's going to get a lot of tampering going on, I think.
Hopefully he has a great season. I should be good. Oh, okay. Back to the Google form. If you still fill out a Google form, you can find it on our Twitter. It will be read aloud later on in this episode. The next three are really fun ones. Biff Poggi was lying in his presser. No, he wasn't. But okay, it's hot take. He cannot be held accountable. Fair.
Would be objectively sick if no starters miss the game for Charlotte.
If he pulls this off, goodbye. Like honestly, good on him. There you get no edge because it didn't reflect in the two deep. Like that,
JMU's not changing how they prepare. None of them. Maybe you convince like a player or two, and like they're in their mind they think it'll be easier than they might have thought it would be. But like I really don't think that gamesmanship would work. But it would be hilarious if you tried it.
Okay, so this one from our listener Google form. The returning players holding resentment towards the Holy Cross players who are perceived to have better positioning on the depth chart than they deserve start a locker room schism that also leaks to other program newcomers. As a result of the infighting, we lose 4 more games and the roster will be in flux headed into the offseason. My favorite part about that is that whoever wrote this didn't think the schism would be bad enough to like blow up the season. The schism's just bad enough to make a bowl, but not compete to win the Sun Belt.
They could be like 7-5 with a huge locker room schism.
I like that. I don't like that one because
only 2 of the Holy Cross guys are starting.
Yeah.
Tyler Purdy's not in the 2 deep, and Terrence Spence, who I thought was going to be a starting corner, is a backup corner. So I think it's a hot take that's hard to believe. The roster in flux part's probably true because they have a lot of like seniors that just won't be on the team next year. So the roster is going to be in flux regardless. They're going to have to make a bunch of changes next year in the offseason.
Third one, Billy Atkins becomes a punt returner and looks like the second coming of Scotty McGee. He also holds on for extra points and field goals, going rogue on occasion by calling a fake that involves him taking the snap, rolling out, and completing a pass for a touchdown conversion first down to an unheralded tight end. Chesney likes the wrinkle so much that Atkins is not punished, but instead promoted to special teams captain. Then in the offseason, he transfers to Richmond.
I mean, that's the best one. It's not even particularly close.
That's the best. It's just such a great take. I love that. And I don't know how I'm going to bet. All right. I'm going to come in with probably my hottest take.
Okay.
To back up what just happened with this Billy Atkins punt returner conversation. My hottest take is that there will be a quarterback controversy this year.
I think I'm kind of with you. I had that Alonzo Barnett ends the year as a starting quarterback.
Mine was Alonzo Barnett and Dylan Morris both start multiple games, not due to injury of the other.
Oh, that's spicy. So they haven't named a starting quarterback yet. See, this is how we do it. We hot take, and then we weave in current events and depth chart talk, but it's a little less boring. So no starting quarterback named. Jalen Green dropped us a hint that he thinks Alonzo Barnett could win the gig.
You can listen to that whole interview over on our YouTube.
So I thought that was interesting. Dylan Morris, obviously way more experienced. You start the season on the road. Do they play 2 against Charlotte? Like, do both guys play?
I would be shocked if they go like 2 quarterback system. Like I would be genuinely shocked if they both split. If it's like a 60-40, 50-50 split of snaps between the two and it's like a full 2 quarterback system, yeah. I would be genuinely shocked.
They've got me thinking. I do think I think they'll play both.
I think it's more likely that we see maybe I'm crazy. More likely we see packages with JC Evans.
I don't think so. I think it's Barnett who has the packages.
Okay.
But I think they trust him more in a game than Evans at this point.
That's fair. That's a great point. Okay.
he's definitely more mobile than Morris. But I think the thing with Barnett, I don't know, and I could be wrong here. I know he's a dynamic runner. I didn't know he was like his own package dynamic runner.
And I don't know if he is.
Because Morris isn't a statue. He's not quite like he's more athletic, I think, in the pocket and then even outside than like Colt Johnson was. And Colt Johnson wasn't quite a statue either.
Yeah, I think Dylan Morris is like good in terms of like mobility.
Yeah.
He's not going to probably run for 400 yards in a season, but he's not going to get, hit in the, he's going to evade the pressure. He's going to move around. He could probably rush and get you a first down or get you 5 yards when it's 3rd and 3 type of thing.
It's just fascinating because Barnett did beat out McLeod last year for Cignetti. He still clearly seems to have at least be kind of in the mix. Otherwise, I think they would have said Morris is the starter, although I guess maybe there's a little bit of a different style there. So you want Charlotte to prepare for both, some gamesmanship possibly. But like Barnett seems to be a camp superstar.
Dude's got it. I mean, he's got it when it comes to practice.
Yeah.
And talking with him at JMU Football Media Day, and you can find that whole Q&A over on our website, jmusportsnews.com. He seems to be in the right headset where he's realized, and I don't mean to diminish the game of football, something we come on here every week and talk about and absolutely love, but like he understands that at the end of the day, it is just a game. And I think he's done a very good job of maturing from what happened last season in week 1, maturing from the comments that Curt Cignetti said, how he was treated, how he acted, in Alonzo's own words, off the field. He thought he wasn't a good teammate, reason why he slid down to QB3 on the depth chart. I think if he gets his shot, after talking with him and after listening back to that interview, I'm bought in. If he's the starter, I think he is completely capable of leading this team to a 9-3, 10-2 record, and be in the conversation for the college football playoff for most of the season. I think he's that good of a quarterback. He's got it in warmups. He's got it during camp.
At Ashley, you'll find colorful furniture that brings your home to life. Ashley makes it easier than ever to express your personal style with an array of looks in fun trending hues to choose from earth tones to vibrant colors to calming blues and greens. Ashley has pieces for every room in the house in the season's most sought-after shades. A more colorful life starts at Ashley. Shop in store or online today. Ashley, for the love of home.
But the reason I think there might be a QB controversy is the second he goes out there and throws an interception, specifically if it happens in this Charlotte game or, God forbid, the Gardner-Webb game, people are going to start talking. Twitter's going to get to be a wild place. We'll see how well Alonzo Barnett is ready to handle the doubts as they creep in. And again, this is a hot take, Purge. I got to get this off of my chest. I don't necessarily 100% fully believe it, but there is a part of me that makes me want to get this out and put it on this hot take Purge so I cannot be held accountable for these takes once this hour is finished. Bennett, what do you think?
I'm very interested to see how they would handle somebody having like an Alonzo Barnett Bucknell first half. So like, let's say they're playing Charlotte. They start Dylan Morris. Dylan Morris has a bad first quarter. They're down 10-0. Do they feel so good about the 2 that they have that they pull the hook on him? Or are they like, hey, I trust you. Let's work through some stuff. We kind of want you to be the guy. That's what I haven't gotten quite a vibe yet, because they've said so many good things about both that it's like, okay, if one of them falters under pressure in a game, it's easy in camp to be like, we're a brotherhood. We love each other. We're best friends. But as a coaching staff, you still have to win games. Like, it's your job. So how do you balance that and the trust you have with also being like there are pretty good vibes, but if somebody's messing up, I got a lot of depth on this team, including a quarterback. I'm going to take him out, switch him out with the other guy. I'm fascinated to see, because Barnett last year did not have a long leash, largely because McLeod behind him was kind of proven. And then you also had playing UVA in week 2, which was critically important, where if you can get through the Charlotte game, you could have a QB competition against Gardner-Webb and give them both 50% of the snaps. So it's a different dynamic than last year.
Because then you're into the bye week.
You want to have somebody, right? You want to have a one quarterback system by UNC at least. I would.
Yeah, but if you can get out of the Charlotte game unscathed, you go into Gardner Webb, and no offense to the running Bulldogs, but you got 2 bye weeks heading into the Tar Heels.
Yep. And so you could work out a lot of stuff during that period. So I'm fascinated to see if the quarterback is like set in stone after game 1. And if whoever starts goes out and just like cooks, then they're going to have a pretty good chance to run away with it. But if they do struggle a little bit, it becomes pretty fascinating.
Yeah. All right. What's your next one?
All right. Let's see what we got here. I got a few that are hotter than others. I will mix in one that I think is kind of fun. Both of the Knight brothers end the year as all Sunbelt players.
I love that one. Wayne and Ymir.
Ymir, I think, is going to have a huge year at wide receiver. They can use him in many different ways. I think he has a chance to rise up the depth chart quickly. I think he's a stud. And then Wayne, I think, is listed as the starting kick returner. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he has a great year as a kick returner and makes it as a return man.
I don't think Wayne's listed as the starting kick returner. I think it's Petaway.
I thought Petaway was punt. Or is Wayne punt returner?
Wayne's punt, Petaway's kick.
So Wayne's starting, yeah, you're right. Wayne's starting punt returner. So I think he can get on as a return man in that game. And then Ymir I've got him up. He's a punt returner. So if he has a good year punt returning, Ymir has a good year at receiver. I'm not saying they're both first team guys, but could we sneak in an honorable mention? Maybe a third team? Yeah, I think it's possible.
I like it. I think Wayne Knight might get used more than Ymir Knight.
He seemed to be getting a lot of praise during camp.
Yeah. Io leads these are listener hot takes. Io leads the nation in rushing. Dobbs isn't the best linebacker on our squad this year.
That's a feisty one.
And Jordan McLeod's athletic talent was propped up by JMU's P4 caliber offensive line and receivers. And he will have massive regression at Texas State. His poor accuracy and decision-making will not be enough to make Texas State a contender in the Sun Belt.
Here's what I'll say. Wait until JMU fans learn about the personnel on Texas State's offense, because it's very good.
Joey Hobart.
They have dogs, man. The offensive line is good. The running backs are good. The receivers are good. The coaching scheme is about as QB friendly as you could possibly get. I would be shocked if he does not have a good season for them.
Offense is not the issue at Texas State.
No, they might lose some games because the defense is trash, but I think McLeod, if he's healthy, is going to have a wonderful year.
Yeah, Brian Marquise, I think it would be smarter to start Demo against Charlotte and give AB3 some serious minutes against Gardner Webb to build confidence and rhythm. I think for Brian with that's only if you want to start AB3 for the remainder of the season. I think if you're going to give AB3 serious minutes against Gardner Webb in the second half in order to build confidence and a rhythm, that's almost with the thought process that he will then start against UNC. If Demo goes out and balls against Charlotte, balls against Gardner Webb in the first half, why would you bench him?
Unless you do it in the second half to get Alonso just more steady as a backup, which I could see.
Yeah.
But whoever you think is the best quarterback should start Saturday. That they shouldn't. I hope they don't go in thinking it's a 2-quarterback system. If there's that outside possibility they're not sure yet, it makes for an interesting 2 weeks. Or if one of the guys struggles, the guy who they thought would be QB1 last year, then it becomes interesting. But if Morris is your guy and he's playing great, he's got to be your guy against UNC. And the same is true of Alonso. If Alonso is your starter and he plays well in the first 2 weeks, you definitely shouldn't switch going into UNC. But we'll see, man. A lot of questions going into the Charlotte game.
And I don't think a wrong take is wrong, right? That was condescending. I don't think a wrong take's wrong. I don't think any take right now is wrong.
No, I think
I may disagree with it.
Yeah.
Bennett may disagree with me and everything like that. But I mean, I don't remember the last year was the closest we got to this type of thing, but we all kind of knew Signetti and he did announce a starter before the game.
Yeah.
It's seeming like Chesney's not going to announce a starter before the game.
Running out of days.
We are. My next one, Jordan Taylor, the Division II Tusculum transfer, will finish the year first team all Sun Belt and will lead the Sun Belt in interceptions.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
This is potentially a hot take because he's listed as the backup corner to Justin Eaglin on the 2 deep. Eaglin, a redshirt sophomore. Must have showed out in camp and beat out Jordan Taylor for the second QB spot. Chauncey Logan, Terrence Spence are the other two corners. It'll be interesting to see who fills the third corner role because JMU will be running a 4-3 defense. So 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, and 2 safeties is their base defense. It'll be interesting to see what they do when they move to a 4-2-5 utilizing 3 corners. So is the nickel, is the slot corner going to be Jordan Taylor, who is 5'10 with amazing speed? Or maybe do they bring in a Ja'Kai Young or Chris Sheeran or Ray Williams, who might have a little bit more hit power, may be able to play a little bit more of that in the box linebacker type of role, who can be more of that hybrid guy. It'll be interesting to see where they go. And I'll keep a very keen eye on that during the Charlotte game when they bring in those sub packages. But my hot take is that Jordan Taylor is going to take over that cornerback 2 position, solidify it, have a breakout season, be first team all Sun Belt, and lead the league in interceptions.
I like that. I think Eaglin over Taylor is one of the surprises for me on the 2 deep, as was the entire tight end position with Kai Wright and Jordan Funk being listed. We had no Taylor Thompson or Logan Kyle, which I think might be Chesney doing a little gamesmanship and a little bit of like, these are our blocking tight ends, and just not putting his receiving tight ends on the.
I think that to me tells me they're thinking this is going to be a more run heavy game, because Kai Wright can catch, Jordan Funk can catch, but they're really good run blockers and they're both bigger than the other two. Kai Wright 6'3", 260, Jordan Funk 6'3", 241. This tells me that Chesney wants that 6th lineman to help the offensive line open up some holes. Maybe put him on that left side next to Jesse Ramel, so you can give that FCS transfer maybe a little bit of help over there. That's what that tells me, kind of like you said, that like these are our blockers. We're going to run the ball.
Yeah, and I think they're expecting a lot of the run too, right? With that 4-3 alignment that they've suggested here with the 3 linebackers on the field. I think they think Charlotte's going to pound it a lot.
Yeah. Nathan said, I'd like to see Antoine Booth and Travell Mullen rotation in at the slot corner or outside corner opposite of Chauncey. I don't mean to be rude when I say this, Nathan. I don't. They didn't crack the 2 deep. I don't think they're.
There's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason they haven't been on a 2 deep like at all during the Signetti or Chesney era.
Yeah.
But they are good depth pieces to have, like Power 5 transfers who certainly have some talent, I think, in some game, but
they've talent. When can they put it together? Like once they put it together, they might be really good.
But it's a crowded secondary now too. It's hard to get on the 2 deep.
So it is like a sneaky loaded secondary.
A lot of guys.
All right, what's your next one?
Let's go with, I've got my guy Eric O'Neill winning Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year.
Of course you do. I don't think that's too hot.
It's not too hot, but I wanted some that were like maybe feasible.
Give me a hotter one.
He's an or on the depth chart, which I thought made it reasonably hot.
Yeah, but with Lloyd Summerall.
Lloyd Summerall's got like 4 career sacks or something.
Yeah, but like, okay, whatever.
Okay, hold on. I got another one on here that's a little hotter. Both of the true freshmen on the 2 deep end the year starting. So you got Dylan Williams at receiver. He ends the year as the starting receiver. Buying into the Dylan Williams takes now. And Chase Regan at safety. He's on there. I could see him working his way up, man. I think his talent's kind of undeniable.
Yeah, Chase Regan, a speedster freshman, 6 foot, 187, listed as the potential backup to Jacob Thomas as a strong safety. It's DJ Barksdale, or is it Jake? Sorry, I'm misreading this. He's listed as the safety 3 on the depth chart because it's Jacob Thomas or DJ Barksdale starting, and then Chase Regan is the safety 3.
But like, it's probably Jacob Thomas starting.
Nathan just dropped in Kyrie Mann's second team all Sun Belt hot take.
I like that.
Listed as a potential start at the defensive end, opposite of Eric O'Neill and Lloyd Summerall. I will say, when this 2 deep dropped, I thought Eric O'Neill would be on one side and Lloyd Summerall would be on the other. I wasn't expecting to see them. Granted, again, we'll see how the packages are done and the subs and everything, because defensive line is kind of boop, 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 boop. We're going to put this guy over their right tackle and kind of switching and changing. So we'll see how it all plays out. But it's interesting. I did not expect to see Eric O'Neill or Lloyd Summerall on one side and Kyrie Mann's or Amar Thomas on the other.
Me too.
I guess this is my last one.
Okay, hit me.
Dukes will have 2 or more NFL draft picks this year.
That's a great one.
So of the people I think they could get potentially drafted, this is kind of a cop-out one. But if Ryan Hansen has the type of year that he's had every year in college, I could see a team taking a flyer on him in the 6th or 7th round. So that gives me 1. And I think Iowa Day is going to get drafted. Iowa Day, really solid stuff. Could potentially, I mean, you saw Kamani Vidal, the Marshall running back. He was drafted, I believe, in the 5th round. If Io goes out, he produced in the American Athletic Conference. If he produces in the Sun Belt, I could see a team easily take him in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round. And potentially a offensive lineman, maybe like a Cole Potts or a Tanner Morris.
I dig that. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
A lot. Okay. I've got one that I think will be fun for you. This is my last one. This is kind of actually like not a great look for the program that this hasn't happened since 2008. But for the first time since 2008, a JMU field goal kicker makes a 50-plus yard field goal.
I like that.
Yeah.
Can I build off of that a little bit?
You can.
I think Noe Ruelas. Let me confirm that. Noe Ruelas is going to set the program record for longest field goal. It's currently 53 yards. I think he will hit a 54-yarder in a game to win a game.
I definitely think he's getting some looks from 50-plus, which has just been a huge change from years past.
Here's a question for you. Would you rather have him attempt it from 50-plus or go for it if it's like a 4th and 2?
4th and 2, go for it. But like, you get a 4th and 7, 4th and 8. I'm okay with trotting the UConn transfer out there.
I like it. All right. Okay. So here's some more listener hot takes. There we go. Dobbs. This is the complete opposite of the Dobbs is not the best linebacker. This is not only is Dobbs the best linebacker on the team, Dobbs will beat out ODU guy Jason Henderson for defensive player of the year in the Sun Belt.
I think it could be a battle like between those two.
I mean, Dobbs will probably put up 120 plus tackles. If Jason Henderson gets the friendly statistician at ODU again.
Did you see how big a story that became?
Did you see Ricky Ronnie
was talking about it. He was asked about it in an interview. What a hilarious thing.
And he was just like, it's just so just, bro, your statistician cooked the books.
There was some fair pushback against the original take. So I'm undecided now on if I feel that it's being cooked.
I think I
think at least slightly.
I think the book was cooked at least a little bit. Maybe he dives in on the pile a little.
There were a few of those that had like video evidence and photo evidence of like guys down with someone else, dives in, gets assisted tackle. So that's a little suspect.
This is another one. JMU's defense will allow less total yards per game than the 2023 squad.
Okay.
JMU will be top 3 in the Sun Belt for rushing yards. Yeah, I agree with that one.
Mild salsa.
These are very mild salsa. Dylan Morris will finish the year with 15 plus passing touchdowns, and Alonzo will finish with 20 plus rushing and passing touchdowns combined.
That one's hotter.
That's hot. Yeah. That's thinking that they're going to be running a 2-quarterback system. Dylan, the traditional drop back
for the whole year.
Yeah. Dylan's the drop back passer, and Alonso's like the goal line back who can also throw it. At the end of the season, I love this one. At the end of the season, JMU will be ranked higher nationally than Indiana and Texas State.
I think that's a fair take. It's going to be very hard for Indiana to end the season ranked. Probably. So I don't know how spicy the Indiana part is because it's more of a rebuild. But I like that one. I think that's a fun one, even if it's not the spiciest. And most of mine were like very mild here, so I can't really.
Yeah, I think the only habanero take we really had was the QB controversy.
That one, I think the Knight brothers both being all Sunbelts.
I guess, yeah.
I get some spice there.
I guess with spicy and hot takes, sometimes I think they got to be like a little not mean, but like Like Wayne Knight and Ymir Knight get to celebrate success together is a hot take.
That was not what the take was.
That's
It was like they're going to be friends all year.
I boiled it down to that. It's okay.
Fair enough.
JMU football doesn't miss a beat from last year, powering to a college football playoff appearance, followed by a second consecutive 30-win season in men's basketball. Side note, please weigh in on yesterday's presser from Biff Poggi. Wow, 49ers fans were baffled and devastated. See the Highway 49 podcast.
I do think Charlotte fans are overreacting a little bit to this.
I don't, because they've been just beaten down for so long. And by so long, I mean for like 11 years since they resurrected their program.
Crazy to think that our former hedge fund manager, outspoken, cut off t-shirt, tank top wearing Biff Poggi, a man named Biff Poggi, did something a little bit weird. What are you expecting? Like him to come out and be like, we've actually built a solid foundation already? Like, no, their whole team is transfers. It's going to be absolute chaos for a few years. Maybe he makes it happen. Maybe he doesn't. The whole thing that he's basically guaranteed is it'll be kind of entertaining because they have a lot of like high-end talent.
My other hot
also,
take.
Max Brown's going to play.
My other hot take.
Yeah.
I think Charlotte will have 8. I think they'll have 9 starters missing. Like, I don't think it's
hilarious. Like for a team that's supposed to win 4 games, that's incredible content.
like everyone's like, no, he's saying they're hurt. Probably only like 3 will actually miss time. Maybe 5 miss time and 3 are playing it less. No, I think 9 are going to miss the game. Like, I think they are going to be missing.
That's kind of how yeah.
And I also think they're all on like the defensive side of the ball. Like, I don't think they're spread across both sides. Like, I have a strong feeling that they have 9 of their 11 defensive starters hurt.
I don't know, man. That guy I think he's electric. I also think they're going to like end up being fine. And he's tempering expectations. I think they'll get better as the year goes on. And I think they'll make some strides in year 3 of Biff.
Okay, another one. JMU goes 500 this year. I'm really nervous for some reason. Well, ghost you. I don't think it's wrong to be nervous.
It's okay to be nervous.
It's an entirely new roster with an entirely new coaching staff. It makes sense to be nervous.
Yeah.
Things could go off the rails in a hurry. Probably not at the Charlotte game. Probably not against Gardner-Webb. But after that bye week, things could get pretty fun.
They absolutely could.
The Chesney good vibes era will have us longing for Dark Sig snark by week 8.
I love this take. I mean, I don't even know if it's going to be week 8. Although I think there will be like a good amount of respect for the Chesney operation. And if they win at a really high level, I don't know if anyone cares. But yeah, if they're dropping some games and it's like kumbaya and they're like already out of the playoff hunt by like early October, I think some people are going to be like, all right, like this isn't quite what I love.
Very fair. Amar Thomas will continue the wise to JMU defensive end tradition, Daka and Ukwu, and have a monster season.
He's one that's not getting a lot of talk on the defensive line, who is super talented.
Yeah. He's listed as a potential starter for week 1 against Charlotte. He has an or next to his name, sharing it with Kyrie Mans. JMU Dukes 3 on Twitter or X said JMU goes undefeated, makes the college football playoff, and Chesney leaves for higher grounds.
I do think those are kind of the two things that I see would be. So the two things would be they have a really, really solid year and people are fired up about Bob Chesney, or they kind of come short of expectations and people are like, wow, we probably didn't give Signetti and company enough credit.
Yes, I agree. Last one at the buzzer, Mr. Leby saying Taji Hudson will do that trick play that he did against UVA during the UNC game.
That'd be sick. Should we fire through some listener questions?
Yes. Anything from here on out can and will be held.
I think the siren drowns you out, at least on mine.
Oh. Let me turn it down a little bit.
The purge is now over. Anything you say
from here on out can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Fair enough. We got some takes out. My hottest being the Knight brothers are close buds. And your hottest being a this is a good one from Chase. Would you like to read it?
5-star Ty Curry burning hot take. JMU beats Charlotte so badly that Jack is forced to burn all of his Charlotte clothes. I'm not burning my Nike Dry Fit polos that I got from Charlotte.
You are wearing a Charlotte.
I am wearing a Charlotte Hornets shirt. I also love, maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up, the message boards being like, just figured out that one of them commentates for Charlotte. Yes, I feel like that's been very well known. I feel like I've been very open about that.
Shout out to the message boards.
At Ashley, you'll find colorful furniture that brings your home to life. Ashley makes it easier than ever to express your personal style with an array of looks in fun trending hues to choose from earth tones to vibrant colors to calming blues and greens. Ashley has pieces for every room in the house in the season's most sought-after shades. A more colorful life starts at Ashley. Shop in store or online today. Ashley, for the love of home.
Usual.
Okay, the 180 and special. Oh, I think this is the one you really wanted to talk about, special teams, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this is a question from Bill Papp.
The
one great interview with Bill Papp up over on our YouTube. The 180 in special teams return production from Houston to Cignetti, was that due to lack of importance, coaching, dynamic returner, or something else? And with Chesney seemingly placing a much heavier focus on specials, should we expect to see a significant change?
JMU was good at special teams last year, and I feel like we're to blame for some of this because we got annoyed by like how punt returns looked. They also had a few long ones last year. Cheese had a 47-yard return. Van Horst before he got hurt. Yeah, against Georgia Southern.
That doesn't count. Van Horst because that was against Bucknell for a half.
Okay, but their return game overall was fine. They were excellent kicking field goals. They were like a top 20 special teams unit in terms of efficiency according to ESPN's advanced metrics. And we're all like, wow, Chesney's about to change the special teams game. I don't know. Like, will he?
Well, I think when fans and us and everything talk about special teams, they are saying it in terms of returns and not even returns, kickoff and punt. I think it's primarily punt return because
punt
it's just been,
they were top 15 in the country in punt.
But they had to have been top 15 and also fair catch.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure in stats, a fair catch isn't listed as a 0-yard return.
No, because it's not a return.
It's not a return. So, of course, when your sample is so much smaller and you have...
Holy Cross was 100th in punt return average last year. They averaged 4.5 yards
because they're returning them. Because they're returning
No, they returned 12.
Oh.
Yeah, everyone's like Bob Chesney, special teams wizard.
Oh, I've never felt so deflated so quickly.
I think they might be more dynamic in the return game because of the people they're putting back there. But some of the Chesney special teams wizardry, I think we need to see at the FBS level because they were very good JMU on special teams last year. In 2022, they kind of sucked. But 23, okay. I thought it got better.
Okay, that's fair.
But also I want to see it because they do talk a big game about special teams. So I want to see if it looks a little more creative, if they're able to create some stuff. I also will say they stacked JMU like all of their really fun special teams play in the first half of the year. 2 block punts in the first 3 weeks. They had great returns against
It's also why we remember this horrible special teams product.
I think some of it is they stacked all of this at the beginning of the year. And then they were kind of just like doing what they were supposed to do toward the end of the year. But like when you needed it against like App State, they weren't creating crazy specials plays.
So I'd rather have consistency across the season. I also think it doesn't help that with one of the games we were at in person back in 2022, it was the Georgia State game where they had like 4 muffed kicks and we're just like, what's going on?
They also haven't returned like a non-blocked punt or kickoff for a touchdown
since
joining the FBS. So I think some of it is like the return touchdown stuff. So I get it, but I do think maybe we're a little hard on the Cignetti era special teams, at least of last year.
Yeah. All right. We got to get you on out of here. So we got to run through these final listener questions. Synogs, how bad am I? Is Jack feeling about hyping up the Charlotte trip now? Like this thing is probably going to be over at the half. I'm still hyped for the Charlotte trip because I get to go back to where I used to live. I'm excited about that. We're hitting up Calais Soul on Friday night. Calais Soul is a fantastic restaurant. If you find yourself in Charlotte, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend all of Plaza Midwood. Lots of great breweries, lots of great restaurants, very walkable. If you can just Uber right on down there, I highly recommend that. Note is also a good spot. South End if you want to get your clubby on, but I won't talk too much about Charlotte. I'm excited about the Charlotte trip still. Daniel Merriman, who do you think will lead the Dukes in catches for week 1?
I'll go Cam Ross.
That's who I was going to say. Because you said Cam Ross, I'm going to say Dylan Williams.
That would be sick.
Justin Reed, given the expand Bridgeforth outcry after the home opener sellout, technically the home opener, the students sold out, not the full stadium, was announced. What would it take for you to support the idea? Personally, I'd want a sold out season when we go 10-2 or 9-3, just to prove it's not just support because we've been winning a lot. Well, I think you'd have to have like a 6-6 season to prove that it's not I think 10-2, 9-3, still winning a lot. Harry Holtzclaw posted this somewhere on Twitter where they also need the demand to be there for like their suite level and all of those expensive tickets. I'm not sure what the demand has been on those. I'm going to try and find the numbers on what the demand has been for suite level tickets, like buying out the suites and things of that sort. Because he made a great point. You can't just expand it and add a bunch of seats and then have the same level of suites or then have a bunch of empty suites sitting.
Yes, very true.
So I'm still anti-expand Bridgeforth.
Yeah, I need to see more.
That's also been my point. I've said, give me 5 years of sellouts and then we can talk.
You also can't expand a stadium for the idea of like, it looks ugly. Like you kind of have to be a little more strategic due to the cost and like the logistics of it. Because there's a lot of things happening in college athletics that also like need money.
Yeah. But I like that question from Justin Reed. It's a question that I think we're going to be hearing a lot of. I'm going to mispronounce this name. Jacinto Quattro. What's a position group that you think will surprise people with their production?
Left side of the offensive line. I'll say I'm going to say it's tight end, although I think it's less of a surprise right now. I think the tight end room is going to be very, very productive.
I'm going to go safeties. Alex asked, who will be the standout player this weekend on offense, defense, and special teams? Quick, you got to hit these 3 quick.
Hansen on special teams, Eric O'Neill on defense, and Petaway on offense.
Petaway on special teams.
Okay.
Jordan Taylor on defense, and Alonzo Barnett on offense. What's going on with the tight end position? Asked Casey Zeters.
I think we kind of touched on it where I think Chesney listed the run blockers at tight end this week for funsies.
Because I think he's like, we're going to try and run the ball a lot. What are your thoughts? This is from Bleed Purple Nation. What are your thoughts about Chesney not choosing a starting quarterback yet? More strategic to Charlotte game plans for both, or is Alonzo playing that well?
Maybe a little both?
I think this is last year didn't make sense for the gamesmanship argument between Alonzo and Jordan McLeod because they were the same quarterback with the same play style, good, accurate, mobile, right? Dylan Morris, not running, like you can't run power option. You can't run QB power. You can't run like QB design plays with Dylan Morris as much as you can with Alonzo Barnett. So there might actually be gamesmanship here. I also think that Alonzo is playing very well and is making this a tough decision. They both had an opportunity to win it out, and I think they've just gone toe-to-toe all camp. I think there's a QB1 known.
Yeah.
I think the coaches know, but I don't think it's been announced to the team, and of course, nor the media.
I like that.
G, what players do you think will truly shine in week 1?
I think the running game and then the defensive line are both going to pop.
I think JMU will rush for over 250 yards as a team.
I like that.
Comparing our offensive scheme last year to this year, what differences or similarities will we see? I know you've talked about hopefully the run being more effective, but will RPO be heavy again, air raid, etc.?
I would anticipate having some RPO. I also think it depends a little on the quarterback. So like if it's Alonzo Barnett, yeah, I think RPO like fits his game perfectly. I think you could get a little more creative with what you do with Morris in the play action. Maybe you're under center a little bit. We'll see if they do that at all. I think you can be very, very creative in terms of the scheme. It's not gonna be like an air raid though.
I'll push back on that a little bit. I think RPO they can run with either.
That's
run
fair.
pass option, just like quick hitting passing. Just
That's
read your key defender and then throw it. Now, like the read option quarterback run type of plays, like
I
probably
like
won't
mixing
run.
those in more with Alonso. Yeah.
Yeah. Best, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of similarities from last year's offense with Mike Shanahan to this year's offense with Dean Kennedy. I think it's going to be vastly different.
Yeah. They also
I think
do
you
a
might
good
actually
job
see.
of like. You go ahead.
I think we might actually see what ODU ran last year with like wide receivers to the boundaries on both sides, just completely spreading a defense out.
They do a really good job of like creatively doing things to make individuals stand out. So like they had some last year where it'd be like a 3rd and short for Holy Cross. They had Sluka under center and they would give it on like a jet sweep to one of their faster receivers. So stuff like that maybe was a little lacking last year.
Jake Nelson, best uni scheme and when to rock them. Gold helmets on purple for homecoming, blackout and whiteout games. All others white, purple, white.
Beats me. I like all
black.
Not black ever. I like pretty much all their uniforms, to be honest with you. So I'm okay with whatever they wear whenever they wear it.
I do too. But Jake, I do like the white, purple, white. White, purple, white is a nice one.
Yeah.
Based on the 2 names listed, do you think the primary focus of the tight ends will be on run blocking? We answered that.
Mm-hmm.
Should we expect even less use as a pass catcher? I think we'll see Taylor Thompson and Logan Kyle, and I could be vastly wrong, but if you see them on the field, they'll be used as pass catchers. Gabe asked, "Can you guarantee a W in Boone, please?" No, I cannot.
Definitely not.
And Austin asked about what are our thoughts on Charlotte having 8 to 10 starters out, fake news or bad coaching. I think it's bad coaching. We talked about that at length. When you look at the players that were lost in the portal and their replacements, what position concerns you the most? Mine's wide receiver.
I'll say corner just because I think Pons was that good. So I'm interested to see how the corner room shakes out because I like some of the guys there. I like the depth there, but you can't straight up replace D'Angelo Pons. I mean, he was highest graded defender on the team per PFF. Like the guy's a stud.
Yeah. Shout out Nathan, who's been dropping hot takes throughout, even after the siren sounded. He said Io is going to rush for 1,000 yards and Petaway rushes for 600 or more. I like it. And that one you can be held accountable for, Nathan, just so you know.
That's right, because it came after. Yeah.
All right, Ben, anything else you got to add? It is 9:15. I promise to get you out of here by then.
I'm excited for this game. I will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, man. For Bennett Conlon, I'm Jack Fitzpatrick. Thank you so much for tuning in to the JMU Sports News Podcast presented by BetOnline. We'll be back next week to the house. We'll be back on Monday. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do on whatever platform you're at. We're JMU Sports News Podcast. See you guys next week.
At Ashley, you'll find colorful furniture that brings your home to life. Ashley makes it easier than ever to express your personal style with an array of looks in fun trending hues to choose from earth tones to vibrant colors to calming blues and greens. Ashley has pieces for every room in the house in the season's most sought-after shades. A more colorful life starts at Ashley. Shop in store or online today. Ashley, for the love of home.
You know when you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.